Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope life is treating you well. It's going pretty good for me. Any day I'm on my bike is a good day. But I want to talk about mid-drives today. This is always a hot topic in the e-bike community because it's one of two options when it comes to motors. You can get a hub motor or you can get a mid-drive. And of course they each have their own sets of pros and cons. And it seems like hub motors have essentially taken over the space. If you go shopping for traditional e-bikes, like from Rad Power, Super 73, Ariel Rider, basically all of the big brands, I think they all exclusively use geared hub motors. And I think it's important to make the distinction between direct drive hub motors and geared hub motors. I know the Onyx uses a direct drive hub motor, but I think it's kind of the exception. The only people that really use direct drive hub motors are people like myself that have custom builds, because they really shine for speed, but they're very big and heavy. And geared hub motors like you're gonna find in Super 73 and most of the big brands are, I would say, probably better all around because they're not as big and heavy, they have better torque, but they're not quite as fast, which is okay because legally you're not supposed to be going over 28 miles an hour anyway. But direct drive motors take the advantages of a geared hub motor over a direct drive hub motor and then multiply it times 1,000. And what I mean by that is the mid-drive with all the gears really help it to work in a more efficient power band, and thus it gives you a lot more torque. You also have other advantages like the weight distribution of the bike, being that it's in the middle right by your pedals. It helps make the bike more even front to back. And a combination of all those reasons is why it's the preferred method of choice for off-roading dirt bikes and mountain bikes. I also think a mid-drive motor is just a little bit less susceptible to damages because of its placement on the bike. Okay, so with that said, it seems like mid-drive motors are a really awesome choice for e-bikes, and that's a completely true statement to make. I don't think anybody would argue against that. And there's also no shortage of mid-drive options. Bafang is the major manufacturer of mid-drive motors for e-bikes, and they make a ton of different models. Some are for dedicated e-bike frames that can specifically fit them, and others can go on any bike. So you would think when looking at the market of e-bikes that roughly half of them, or maybe 40%, would be mid-drive and the other 50-60% would be hub motors. But you'd be wrong in that assumption. There are very few consumer level e-bikes with a good mid-drive motor. As mentioned, it seems like the geared hub motor is kind of the sweet spot that the major manufacturers all go with. And I can see why, because hub motors do have a lot less maintenance because you don't even have to worry about a chain falling off, and that is a drawback of mid-drives. So in terms of maintenance, hub motors do have that clear advantage. And I think just legally, a big company can't really sell high-powered mid-drive electric bikes. So your options are somewhat constricted if you want to buy an e-bike with a mid-drive motor, but you do have a few good choices. So let's get right into it. The first one is by Saunders. This is a very popular e-bike brand, so if you're concerned about the reputation of the company, don't be with this one. And the model is the Rockstar. And the bike itself, you can see it right now, it's a mountain bike frame. I think it is a mountain bike, technically speaking, with a mid-drive motor. It's full suspension, which is great, and it has full-size 27.5-inch mountain bike size wheels, which is actually what I have on this mountain bike right here. So comparing the Rockstar versus, say, a Super 73, you can see how the mid-drive motors are targeted towards people that do more off-roading and just want more capable and athletic bikes, versus a Super 73, which is really a good-looking city commuting kind of a bike. But being that this is a mountain bike, that's also very important because there's lots of accessories on the market for mountain bikes. So you can easily change out all the different parts, and I think that is a huge advantage of using a mountain bike frame. So it's kind of one of those intangibles that you have to add into your calculations. The downside of this mid-drive e-bike though, however, to me at least, is the voltage of the battery and the wattage of the motor. So the Rockstar uses a 48 volt battery, which is a little bit low. Personally, I don't like going below 52, and the motor is only 750 watts. Now keep in mind, a 750 watt mid-drive motor is going to perform very differently than a 750 watt hub motor. You're going to get a lot more out of it because of the gears, but still the bike is expensive, around I think $3,000. and I wish the specs were a bit better. Oh yeah, the next one is from Lunacycle. I had to check my phone for that one. So Lunacycle, this is a company that sells the SRAM X in North America. So again, a pretty reputable name in the e-bike space. And this is like the X2, I think it's called. It's very expensive, around the same price as a SRAM, like 4,500 bucks. But this addresses my complaints with the previous Rockstar, because just like before, it uses a mountain bike frame, which I'm a big fan of. It's very athletic, but the motor is like an M600, and they custom tune it to have a peak of around, I think it's 2,000 watts. So clearly a lot more power. And I mean, just overall, you can tell this bike is a lot more premium, and the price tag does reflect that. Although again, the battery is only 48 volts, and to me that's a huge negative of these bikes. I wish they came in higher voltages to make the motor spin a bit faster. I mean, I understand that mid-drives are not made for speed like direct drive hub motors, and it's really about the acceleration and the torque and going over technical off-roading terrain, but still, considering the price tag of these things, I wish you got at least 52 volts. Now the third one I have for you guys is from a Chinese company, so in terms of the reputation, this is a lot more sketchy, but I think the bike is pretty high quality, and they actually have a whole lineup. This isn't just one bike. Some are cheaper, some are more expensive. They even have one that has dual batteries to give you a lot of range. The overall price tag of these bikes is similar to the other two I talked about, especially because of the lineup and they have a few different offerings. But because these are from mainland China, those dollars go a lot further, and they buy pretty solid components. In terms of the power level, they peak at around like 1600 watts, somewhere in that range. So pretty powerful. I have no complaints when it comes to the wattage of these motors. But again, the voltage is only 48. And really the only downside here is that these are from China, as I mentioned. So the whole buying process is kind of convoluted. You have to email the company and kind of custom spec out a bike. And then you have to ship it from China, which is going to take you at least a month and cost a couple $100s on top of the price tag. Okay, so if you're buying a e-bike with a mid-drive motor, I personally think those three are some of your best options. Of course, if I missed your favorite, leave a comment down below to let us all know. But alas, you do have another option if you want to have a mid-drive e-bike, and that's to simply make your own. I mean, all of these bikes from Saunders, Lunacycle, and Frey, they're just mountain bike frames, and they just attach a motor and a battery to it. And if you want, you can do that yourself, customize it, save money in the process, and have exactly what you want. So one of the most popular motors to do this is from Bafang. It's the BB-SHD, I believe. It's like 750 watts with a peak that's well above that. Another option you have is from CYC. They make two really high quality, high performance mid-drive motors, and they're compatible with 36 volt all the way up to 72 volt batteries straight out of the box. And I'm actually talking to this company. I've been emailing back and forth with them, and it looks like I'm going to be picking up one of their motors to install on this bike right here and show off on the channel. So if you guys want to see the whole building process, see how it performs, and see how it stacks up against a direct drive mid-drive motor, definitely subscribe to the channel, leave a like. We're trying to get this channel to 1,000 subscribers. We're almost there, about to touch 800. So things are going well. But yeah, that's the end of the video. I'm gonna go now. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.